Is blindness a barrier? No.
Is deafness a barrier? No.
Are mobility, learning, cognitive disabilities, speech impairments and others, or even a combination of them, barriers? No way. Lack of accessibility is.
Welcome to Web Accessibility for All.
Follow the blind. This journey starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Web Accessibility for All, the podcast where we break down web accessibility one guideline at a time. Today we continue with our brand new section, WCAG Simplified, where we take those dry, understanding WCAG pages and make them easy to grasp. Now let me paint you a picture. You are sitting on your couch, using your phone in landscape mode. You open a streaming platform website, and boom, a message pops up.
Please rotate your device to portrait to continue.
Well, for some users, this isn't just annoying, it's a barrier to access. Today, we are diving deep into two WCAG success criteria that deal with screen orientation. WCAG 1.3.4 orientation and WCAG 2.6.2 orientation lock. And before you ask, no, these are not the same thing. We're going to break them down, look at real-world examples, and, of course, throw out some code to make sure you are building compliant, flexible web experiences. Let's get started.
WCAG 1.3.4 Orientation. Let me choose.
So WCAG 1.3.4 forces one simple rule.
Don't force screen orientation.
Alright, so WCAG 1.3.4 is all about giving users the freedom to use a site in portrait or landscape mode, unless there's a really good reason not to. Sounds simple, right? Well, tell that to developers who insist that their app only works in portrait mode. Or worse, those who think landscape mode is some kind of crime. Okay, so who needs this? Users with motor disabilities, because they might lock their screens in landscape mode to stabilize interactions and avoid accidental rotation. People with vertigo or vestibular disorders, because sudden screen rotations can be disorienting or even nauseating. Why it matters? Some users mount their devices in a fixed position due to mobility impairments, meaning that they cannot rotate the device. A site or app should not force specific orientation unless absolutely necessary. For example, a landscape-only video editor or a virtual reality interface. Let's hear from someone affected by this. Sam, a wheelchair user who mounts their tablet in landscape.
I use my tablet in landscape mode because it's mounted on my wheelchair. Some apps tell me to rotate my device, and I'm like, how? Should I just tilt my head sideways?
Yeah, Sam has a point. And if your website forces portrait mode, Sam just can't use it. Period.
How do developers fail this?
Bad example. A website that refuses to work in landscape mode.
Less meta. Name equals viewport. Content equals width equals device width. Initial scale equals 1. Orientation equals portrait greater.
It's a blocker. for anyone needing landscape mode.
How to fix it?
Instead of forcing an orientation, check what the user prefers first. Let users decide and use CSS to make your layout responsive.
At media left paren, orientation : portrait right paren, left brace. /* your CSS goes here / right brace blank. At media left paren, orientation : landscape right paren, left brace. /* your CSS goes here / right brace.
Now your site adapts instead of demanding users flip their devices. Another trick: make sure elements adjust dynamically.
IMG left brace. Max -width : 100% semi. Height : auto semi. Right brace.
Now images won't overflow when the orientation changes.
WCAG 2.6.2 Orientation Lock. Respect user settings.
Alright, WCAG 2.6.2 take this one step further. This one is AAA, which means it's not required for legal compliance. But if you care about making the web usable for all, you should absolutely implement it. Key rule:
Users should be able to lock their screen orientation without your site overriding it.
Yep, if a user has locked their screen orientation, do not override it. Some users intentionally lock their screen orientation to prevent accidental rotation due to tremors or to avoid disorientation from sudden screen flips. The website must still work properly even when the device rotation is locked. Now meet Jenny, who experiences motion sensitivity.
I lock my screen in portrait mode because I get dizzy from sudden rotations. Some apps force landscape mode, and it's like, whoa, why am I spinning?
Yes, that's bad UX and bad accessibility.
What does a failure look like?
Some JavaScript APIs allow developers to force an orientation, ignoring the user's settings.
Bad example: forcing a screen orientation with JavaScript.
Screen.orientation.lock left paren, portrait right paren, semi.
This tells Jane, hey, I know what's best for you, and forcibly changes her screen orientation, even if she logged in.
How do we fix this?
Before forcing an orientation, check the user's settings first.
If left paren, screen.orientation.type. Includes left paren, portrait right paren, left brace. Console.log left paren, user prefers portrait mode. Right paren, semi. Right brace else left brace. Console.log left paren, user prefers landscape mode. Right paren, semi. Right brace.
Even better, just don't force an orientation at all, unless absolutely necessary.
How these two criteria work together.
Now the big question: how these two success criterion work together? WCAG 1.3.4 level AA gives users a choice. You must support both orientations. WCAG 2.6.2 AAA respects users' settings, so you cannot override the user's locked orientation. Are they required for AA compliance? The first one, Yes. The second, no. It's part of AAA. So for WCAG AA compliance, your website must support both portrait and landscape. But if you're gonna go further with AAA compliance, you must also ensure a user's rotation lock is respected.
Real-world failures in popular apps.
Mobile banking apps.
Some banking apps override the user's screen lock when taking check deposit photos.
Video streaming apps.
Some apps force full screen landscape mode, ignoring locked screen settings.
Final thoughts and actionable tips.
Alright, let's wrap this up with some developer-friendly takeaways. Support both portrait and landscape modes. Respect the user's screen rotation lock. Use CSS media queries for responsive layouts. Avoid JavaScript that forces rotation unless absolutely necessary. And the easiest thing you can do, test your site with your screen locked and in both orientations. You'll be surprised at how many websites fail. Thanks for tuning in to Web Accessibility for All. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your fellow developers and designers. And hey, if you got questions, reach out on social media or write down in the comment area. See you next time, and remember, accessible design is better design. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe for a new challenge next week. And don't be shy. Leave us a review or ask your accessibility questions online. See you next week for another episode of Web Accessibility for All.